Well, hello and welcome to the very first episode of a brand new project of mine, which I like to call Snapshots. And the premise of this is basically every week I'm going to have a chat to a photographer and a vlogger who has one of the smaller channels on YouTube. So not the big guys out there. Someone who I hope you will have a look at, get to know a bit better, and maybe go and watch some of their work. And someone who I hope will get a little bit of exposure from coming on to this. Now, I'm not saying that I've got the largest channel in the world. I know I haven't, but I've got a real thing where I have a lot of respect for these guys, these smaller channels out there who I feel need a little bit more exposure. And if I can do a little bit, then I'll do what I can to help. I'll also be having a chat with some of my other friends, you know, sort of slightly larger vloggers who I just fancy a bit of a chinwag with. And I really hope that you guys will enjoy this and maybe get to know a few more excellent photographers and excellent vloggers who you maybe haven't seen before. Anyway, this week, first up, is a guy called Alan Coles. I really hope you enjoy it. So hello and welcome to this episode of Snapshots, as I'm calling it. And today, I've got a really great guy and a really fantastic photographer and YouTuber, and his name's Alan Coles. So hello Alan, how are you?
Hi Gary, thanks for that lovely welcome.
That's all right. You good?
Yeah, not bad
Yeah?
at all.
Excellent. So
sun's out there and I'm inside.
can't be bad. So before we get going, before I get going with the questions, I'll just ask you a little bit about yourself. So just give us a brief, if no one's ever seen your channel, give us a really brief overview of who you are and what your channel's about.
Okay, well I'm a South Wales photographer stroke vlogger. I live in a place called Ebbw Vale, which is in the valleys, southeast Wales. I live on the edge of the Brecon Beacons, so the Brecon Beacons is my playground, so to speak. Photography, I took up about 15-20 years ago, possibly, basically from walking. I used to go out walking the hills and bought myself a little digital camera, which was a Panasonic DMC something, a little 4 megapixel thing, just to take photographs of when I was out. And then I thought, oh, get something a bit better. So I got a little Canon S03i, I think it was. And then I was walking my dog and I bumped into a guy quite close to you who had a big camera and a big lens, and I got chatting to him. His name's Mike Warburton, great photographer. And I went over, as I'm prone to do, and had a chat to him and said, oh, you know, what are you doing? He said, I'm testing out my new lens, which was a Sigma. And he said, I'm just trying these gulls down on the pond, you know. So he took a shot and he showed me the back of his camera, and I was like, oh, okay, great. So we got chatting and got very friendly, and we had a few emails back and forth, and then I went out with him a couple of times, and I thought, that's it, I've got to get myself a decent camera. So that was probably about 2006, perhaps. And where did I get my first camera for? I can't remember, but it was a grey import. It was a Canon Rebel XTI, I think it was, with a kit lens on. And it went from there, really. And then I think once you take the first step, I don't know what you were like, but once you take the first step into photography, after a little while, it's, you know, get another lens, want to do this, want to do that. And it went on from there. And basically, that's where I am.
All right. So, okay. So you've already answered my first two questions, which were going to be, when did you start photography and why photography? So before we move on, how about when did you start YouTube?
I think about 2017, I think was my first, what I call proper vlog. I'd had a YouTube channel and put little bits of video that I'd recorded when I was out walking and with friends and that. Nothing, you know, speak to camera. But I belonged to Camera Club for about 6 or 7 years. Had a great time, and then I just got to the stage where I used to take bird photography. I used to do a lot of bird photography because I have a lot of nice birds in my garden, and it got a bit samey, landscapes is where I really loved stuff. So I gave up Camera Club and I wanted something to do in the meantime. And it was about that time, I think, that YouTube, I should say, vlogging, landscape photography became very, very popular. Can't remember when you started, but I can remember seeing you in the early days. And I don't think Thomas Heaton was the first person I saw. I think it was probably somebody else. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go, and that's what I did, which I think was November 2017. I did it.
Okay, and so you've kind of answered why as well, but what is it with YouTube? Why do you feel compelled to make videos as well as going out and taking photos?
As I said, I just wanted something really to take on my sort of replacement of Camera Club. You know me, Gary. You've spoken to me. You know what I'm like. I'm chatty. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I'll give this a go. I quite fancy myself as in front of a camera. But to be honest with you, it's totally different. Even now, 7 years later, I should say, 5 years later, I still find daunting to stand in front of a camera and talk to basically a camera rather than, I don't think it's, there's somebody out there, and I'll chat to anybody all day long. Put a camera in front of me and I'm a bit different, I suppose. I don't know whether I come across like that on video or not.
Oh, I think you come across quite well, actually. I think you come across as I speak to you, you don't seem any different. I've got to say,
Good.
You come across very much the same. So if there was one video that's on your channel that you would say, this shows me, this shows what I want people to see of me and how I go about things, which one would it be?
I honestly couldn't think of one that says, I'm pretty proud of that. I enjoy them. If you watch my channel, I do I like to do a bit of walking, a little bit of talking. It's not all photography. So I like to mix it up. I'm not the type of person who could tell you how to take a photograph. Others do that and they do it a lot better than I can. My philosophy on taking photographs is I see a scene and I just take it.
Okay, then. So what about your favourite YouTube channel for someone else?
I like Ben Horn. I still like Thomas Heaton, even though he's the most popular on there. But there are other, should say, channels that are not photography based. People that go out walking. I haven't got a proper favourite. There are a lot of people that I like, and I will watch their channels. And I'm not going to say you, because you know that I watch yours all the time anyway.
I wasn't expecting you to say me at all.
But I do anyway. Yeah. I like Dave Griff. I've never met Dave, and we chatted for a couple of years now, and I've never met Dave.
You've never met him?
I've never met Dave. No.
Oh, wow. Well, we must sort that out, mustn't we?
Yeah. I like Murray, Scottish Mountains.
Oh yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I've watched him for a good number of years, possibly about the time I started, 2017. So they are the type of photographers that I like to watch. But I'll watch lots of different things, I can't say I've got a favourite.
Okay, all right. What about then? Okay, here's one that's going to be an interesting question leading on from that. Let's say you've been arrested, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and
I have.
I mean, let's not go into that. But let's say let's say you've just been arrested, right? And the police give you one phone call, right? And you can only speak to one YouTuber to get you out of trouble, right? Who would it be, and how would you expect them to get you out of trouble?
I think probably Dave Griff.
Why is that?
If you watch the pubcast, Dave will sit back and listen to everybody talking before he'll make a remark about anything. So you know that he thinks about something before he gives a reply. And I think Dave's philosophy in life is to understand something before stepping in. So if I told Dave what I was doing, or I would expect him to say he's pretty up on things. I would probably say Dave would give me the best bit of advice.
Yeah. Plus, he's got loads of cash, so he could bail you out.
Apparently, I don't know.
So
Has he? He looks pretty well off, doesn't he?
it's that cravat he wears. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to meet Dave.
Yeah. Well, we'll get that sorted. We'll definitely get that sorted. So, all right then. So moving on then. So, what's your favourite? And you can only pick one. Your favourite photography location. If you could only go back to one place ever again, where would it be?
Do you know, I wish you'd given me these answers, these questions before, because...
This is the point of it. It's supposed to be spontaneous.
Is it? Oh, I got to say I'm 63. I can't remember last week, although what my favourite location is. Probably Skye. Yeah, it is Skye. I've been to Skye a couple of times. First time back in 2009. I'd like to go back to a beach called Camp Sunnery, which is up the coast from Elgol. If you can see a couple of bothies in the distance, if you stood on the beach at Elgol and look up towards the Coolins, you see a mountain called Sgurnar on the left hand side, and there's a beach on the right hand side, and there's a little bothy there. And I would love to go back to Camp Sunnery and walk up Sgurnar, I think it's called, and have a look at the view that looks over Loch Carwsg and the Coolins behind it. I think it's the most fantastic view for a landscape photographer in the UK, for me.
Oh, fantastic. Give me your favourite photography tip.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Just go out and enjoy it. As easy as that. I'm not one for compositions. I see something I like and I generally lift the camera up to my eye and look at it through the viewfinder and think, yeah, I like that. I plonk the tripod down and, I, as much as I can, I suppose I'll adhere to rules of thirds and whatever, but I generally will take a scene just because I like the scene. I'm not one for compositions, which probably people tell me I don't know, but I take the photograph because I enjoy the scene. So just to enjoy it,
I think that's excellent advice. I do. I think that's really good advice. You can get too much thrown at you, can't you? You must do this, must do that. It's got to be tack sharp. It's got to be this, got to be that. So no, that's really good advice. So what would you say is your favourite time of year for photography?
Changes. Autumn probably. I used to enjoy winter, but as you get older and have to get up and get out in the cold and the wet, not so much. So I do enjoy. The last couple of years I've enjoyed woodland photography. So autumn is a great time. Saying that, this year I've quite enjoyed the spring greens, and last year a little bit since lockdown. I think I used to think green summer and stuff like that, but spring greens are different. They got that vibrant way about them, and especially at places like wild garlic, and when you go out and see a bed of wild garlic where it's got that vibrant green and white together, there's something quite nice about it. And the trees are nicer then, I think. So, but autumn and then spring, but I do enjoy to see a winter scene.
So just anything other than summer, really. All right. So here's two questions. You can answer them together. Okay. What is your best experience with a camera, and what is your worst experience with a camera? So your best experience while you're out taking photos, and your worst.
Okay. I got a friend, Gary Howells, that I mentioned to you earlier. Gary had never been to a beach called Rossilly on the far end of Gower Peninsula. And we left here in pretty crap conditions. It was overcast, and then on the way down it was raining. And I said to him, Gary, have some faith, mate. It'll be nice when we get down there. Promise. and I was sort of, and I was telling him all about this beach and the rocks down at looking over towards Worm's Head, and I said, "You'll absolutely love it, fantastic." And I've been to the beach many times. So as we got down onto the Gower Peninsula, it's about 20 odd miles from one side of it to the other, and Rossley is the far end of it. You could see the clouds starting to sort of look nice. It stopped raining, the sun had come out, but there was some lovely cloud cover. And as we got to Rossley, the car park, I don't know, have you ever been there?
No, I've never been.
I'll have to show you a photograph. And the beach is a long extended there, and down on the end of the headland is this Worm's Head. So we made our way down to there. The skies were fabulous, and to see Gary, and the tide had come in, and down on the headland there's lots of rocks, and Gary's a great photographer, and I took some photographs, and they were good photographs, but Gary took some great photographs. There was me, I was in one of them on a shot, I'm a person in the shot, but it wasn't just about me having a great time. It was probably watching Gary absolutely loving it, and I enjoy that part of photography as much as I enjoy photographing myself. To see Gary there thinking, wow, I've never been here before, this is fantastic. And I drove down, and there's a pub at the car park, and Gary's a drinker, he's a friend. If you ever look at my video with Gary in, I mentioned the fact that I picked him up because he'd been out drinking the night before. And we went back to the pub, and we stayed there till about 11:15. I was just drinking shandy and coke, and about 11:15 at night it was at this time of the year. I think it was around about early July, if I remember rightly. It was possibly the 2nd of July, I think it was. We were stood outside watching, the light was still going on at 11:10 at night, and it was just a whole fantastic evening. I don't think I got any great photographs, although the conditions were fantastic, but it was just an experience of taking a friend down there, the weather being very dodgy on the way down, getting there, seeing what it was like, going down to the headland, Gary sort of just enjoying himself, taking photographs. It's just, great night. I think some of the best days out are with friends, as you would know when you went to Scotland. The weather was crap at times, but wasn't it the best at times?
Totally, and I totally get your whole thing about watching other people enjoy, because you are definitely that person. You are someone who likes to. From when I was with you, you got more pleasure out of me getting good shots and enjoying the place, I felt, than you did for yourself. So that's a real testament to you, mate. That's a real,
Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what about your worst then? Go on, share your worst.
When I went in 2009 to Skye with my lad, we did a bit of hiking, a bit of wild camping, and there was a pebbly beach or a rocky beach in front of the bungalow that we were staying in, a B&B or guest house. And I said to him, I'm going to go down onto there. And I went down, and I was taking some shot. It was great. And I turned around, and he was on the balcony watching me. I wasn't only about 100 yards away from him. And I turned around and knocked my tripod flat onto the top of a rock.
Oh.
Yeah. That was one of the times. I smashed luckily I managed to get there. It didn't break the lens. I banged the camera, but it didn't break the lens because I had a polarizer on it. But I was gutted at the time. I could still remember the feeling. And another time, related to Scotland, I came back from Scotland with the boys. I'd been to Skye again with the Camera Club boys, and I had about 5 days spare before I flew out to Ibiza with Deb. And Bill, my friend Bill, who I go out with, rung me up and he said, "Oh, do you fancy doing some waterfalls?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." So we went to a waterfall just below the lower Naiad. It's not much of a waterfall, it's more of a cascade, but there's a nice bridge there, and I'd been there a number of times. We got there, walked down to it. And Bill said, "Oh, I don't fancy it now." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I thought I'll go down there. And I started taking some photographs. And I thought, right, I've finished now. And I picked my tripod up like that. And I put it on the rock behind me. And it was a bit of a slope. And Bill sort of in front of me on the bridge watching me. What had happened, I put the camera up and the ball head had started, or the tripod head had started to creep. And as I turned back around, the tripod, the camera, the lens tumbled past me and went straight into the deep pool that I had been stood. And Bill was up there like looking absolutely. That was the first time I'd ruined a 5D3. I killed everything of it. In fact, I still have it. I still have it here with me.
Looking at that camera just brings back so many memories.
It's a great camera.
Yeah, I loved my 5D3. I really did.
I took my best photographs with this, and I had my best time with it. In the last three and a half years, I've had 3 cameras. The G9, I had a GH5 as well, which I bought cheap. I was going to have that done to infrared. I had that for a little while as a spare, and I took that out. And then I got the Panasonic S5 and the Canon EOS R. They don't live. The experience that I've had with those so far don't live with the experience that I've had with these. And I had this from about, I don't know, when did these come out? Because I had it. I had it when it came out. 2012. So I had the first one in 2012. And yeah, I would say from that time on until I got rid of it or swapped it out was my best camera sort of work, I would say.
I wonder if everybody who's had a 5D3 feels like that. I reckon be interested if anyone wants to put in the comments, if you've had a 5D3, do you look upon it as fondly as we do? Because I loved my 5D3, and even though I knew I had to move on, it just felt nice in your hand, and I just loved it.
This has just got something about it. Even without the lens now on it, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could. And this had the dials, it's got everything. My Canon EOS R, I bought it. I asked a few people about it before I bought it, and I'd sort of favourable, but I didn't really look at it. And when I had it, half the dials that I was expecting on a 5D weren't on there. No, the back of it wasn't on there. And I was like, oh, go get it. Yeah, and I'm still probably, I've had the Canon EOS R since last October, and I'm still not used to it. And I will go out sometimes with 2 cameras, and then I'll put my hand up to pick the Panasonic S5 because it is so easy to pick up and use, like the 5D3.
If you could go back and see yourself when you were an 18-year-old, what one piece of advice would you give to yourself? Just anything at all.
I would say if you want to do something, go out and do it. If it's like travel, both my kids travel, and I wish that I could have done that then. Gone and seen it. I don't like flying very much. Never have done it, but I have flown quite a lot, but I don't like it. But I've gone past the stage now where I want to go. I want to stay in this country. Then I don't want to travel. But if you've got the urge to do something like that, do it.
All right then. Here's one for you. I know you're going to enjoy this one. You ready? Social media. Blessing or curse?
I would like to say a curse, but I think it's a blessing in many ways.
Why?
I think it's good and bad.
Why?
The good thing is that it's a learning tool, YouTube. I hardly watch daytime television or, normal television. I feed off stuff on YouTube. If you want to know something, the other day there was a problem changing something in the bathroom thing. You can YouTube it basically straight away. But in many ways, and I suppose like Twitter, what we call real social media, then Twitter, Facebook, has got a bad side to it. We could go on all day about it, Gary. You know what it is as well as I do.
We could go on all day about it, which is kind of why I asked the question.
No, you're not. I'm biting my tongue to say.
Fair
It
enough.
all depends what you want to talk about on social media. I think it's got a negative side. You felt that. I felt it. I am being trolled in that respect. Some people are trolled, and it's awful, especially on places like Twitter and that. But it gives a keyboard warrior, shall we say, strength at times. We can all feel a little bit towards people, I suppose, but some people never know when to stop, or they've got a keyboard in front of them and they can let rip at somebody on the other side of the world for, that's the bad side of it.
Yeah. It's made us more opinionated, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah, because everything's accessible, whether it's the good or the bad things in life.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you take your photos for you, or do you take photos for others?
For me, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the benefit that if somebody else likes it, it's a standard answer. Great. When I was in Camera Club, I took photographs for competition, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I took the photographs for me initially because I had a shed and some garden birds, and I was in Camera Club. I joined Camera Club to learn, and basically I didn't learn anything. I went to the first night, and I think you're allowed 3 nights before you have to join. And I was like, well, okay, it's okay, And the third night, I paid my £10 membership, and I didn't go back. Basically because I felt like it was not really what I wanted. It wasn't a learning place. I found Camera Club was a place where you went to talk about. You could learn things. Don't get me wrong. You could learn things, but it wasn't. You couldn't. It wasn't a tutorial place. If you wanted to learn about photography, the best thing to do was to go to college or like a night school, which they had around here, which I didn't know at the time. And I went back, and when I went back the second time, it was totally different because I knew I wasn't going there to learn. I was going there to participate. But I got into the competition thing. I was Camera Club, whatever you are, of the year 3 times. But I was always looking for something different. And of course, I've always been a birder. I've always loved going out and looking at birds. I've always got binoculars with me. And I thought, I'll take some bird photographs in the garden. I had a shed, set up a little hide in there, started it, and went into the Camera Club with these shots. And of course, it was like, whoa, I think probably one of my favourite shots is a bird shot that I've ever taken. But after a while, it became like I'd do a couple of landscapes, and then I'd do a bird shot because I knew it would score points or it would get something in there. And I was then taking shots for Camera Club, not taking shots that I enjoyed.
Do you have any other hobbies other than photography? Obviously walking, but anything other than photography and walking?
I've got loads. I love music. I play chess every day. In fact, I used to be a county chess champion. So I played a couple of grandmasters. As I said, I was a county champion back in 1999. I've played since I've been about 11. So, chess. I used to like reading, but I don't read so much. I love music. My kids both love music as well. Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about music then, and this is one of the worst questions because everyone goes, you can't ask this. What's your top 3 songs? Just at the moment, top 3 songs.
Boogie on Reggae Woman, Stevie Wonder. Probably, I don't know. I couldn't. It would be Boogie on Stevie Wonder. I love Ace. How long? Tomorrow it would be different, but Boogie on Stevie Wonder, I think, is an absolute genius. It was the first single I bought, Boogie on Reggae Woman, back in about '74, and I went out the next day and bought the album, which was called Fulfilling Us First Finale. I love soul music. I love classic rock. These days I'm more eclectic, so I'll listen to lots of different things. But if you'd have asked me 10 years ago, what was my favourite song? I don't know, but probably Boogie on Reggae Woman.
Okay, all right, all right then. Is there a song that you instantly turn off? I cannot listen to that song.
Anything but the Pet Shop Boys.
Do you not like the Pet Shop Boys?
I hate the Pet Shop Boys. Yeah, both my good friends Gary Howells, I've mentioned earlier, and my friend Andrew Watkins, they both absolutely love the Pet Shop Boys. I don't like the electronic 80s music. I think music for me back after sort of the late 70s, when you had the what do they call it? New Romance?
New Romantics, yeah.
And then it went a little bit. I don't like U2. I don't like anything like that. I used to say that Bono sounded like somebody with a bad case of diarrhea sat on the toilet, when he was howling. I'm more eclectic now, but yeah, that sort of 80s period. I got very much into what I call modern and indie soul in the 80s. Big record collection. I've got thousands of records. In fact, I've sold loads. That's what I should do. Get my 7-inch singles back out to make some money.
You were a DJ?
I was a DJ once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on a couple of mailing lists. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Alan, that was fantastic talk. Really interesting. I think we'll wrap it up there. If you haven't watched Alan's channel, then, please go and visit it. The link will be in the description below. As you can see from this, he's a lovely guy. But not only that, his photography is fantastic. So it's well worth a watch. But yeah, thanks so much, Alan, for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've,
Thanks.
It's been a good chat, hasn't it? So
thanks for inviting me, Gar. As I said, I wish you'd sort of prep me on some of the answers.
No, I'm not prepping you on. I'm not prepping.
I'd have had more time to think about it. At my age, I need a week to think about, things before I can answer you. So, yeah, I'll come back and give you a better answer on some of the others now I know the questions.
All right, we'll do another one another time.
Oh, no.
All right, cheers. Thank you so much anyway, mate. And thanks for watching, everyone, and cheerio.
Bye-bye.